Go. We're live.
We're live. I will call this meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Glendale-River School District Board of Education on April 8, 2026, regular meeting. We'll start with roll call. Chris Robinson. Here. Katie Avalos. Here. Danielle Bailey. Here. Carla Pennington Cross is here. Karen Cronwell will be here. She's running a little bit late because of an appointment. Welcome everyone and welcome guests and visitors. Anyone who wishes to at this time may stand and join in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance if you wish.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
With liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to item 1D, agenda approval.
I move to approve the agenda. A second.
All right, there was a motion by Danielle Bailey, second by Katie Avalos. Any discussion, comments on the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the agenda? Aye. Agenda is approved. 1E, approval of board meeting minutes for March 18. Anyone wish to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I was late, so I'm not gonna do that.
I move to approve the minutes for Wednesday, March 18th, 2026. All second.
Any discussion or comments?
I just want to see if the change
It's
is.
not touched. Touching my screen.
But yes.
Able to make the edits.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay. All right, so you had
It's
some.
pretty sad.
edits
Yeah,
for fourth
the
meeting.
specific language around the coming out of closed session, I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, just double check that part.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, any other comments or edits? All right, we have a motion by Danielle Bailey, second by Katie Avalos to approve the minutes for the March 18, 2026 board meeting. All in favor? Aye.
And I'm gonna abstain
Abstention.
because I missed part of it.
Chris abstains. Minutes are approved. All right, moving on to 1F, the meeting grounding. And I'll share what I've been thinking about to ground this today. I have been thinking a lot about ambition and capitalism. Because of the conversation I had with Karen last week. It's a very big rabbit hole for me, but I want to share with you my sort of abridged thoughts around this. Because I know ambition is this notion in America right now that very individual, very focused on individual success and money. But I know that what we have sitting at this table in this room, actually, everyone in this room, is a group of people who model ambition in a very different way. In a different light. I think we tend to see ambition collectively in light of relationships, right? And growth from the future. And what I observe is that we collectively dream big. We dream audaciously, I would say, about empowering and enabling lives of meaning for the children we serve. And building a better and stronger community through our leadership and service. Our ambition is not based on this concept of like individual glory, but on a concept of community success. And I think that's incredibly powerful. The very idea of a statewide public school system is audacious, one that's overseen by locally elected community members like us, funded by local property taxes. Just an extraordinary idea. That we collect our money through taxes and we build public schools that center and unite our local communities. And it works, and I am Exhibit A because I came to America from an army base in Korea when I was 10. Come on in, Karen. Karen Cronwell has entered the room. I moved to the United States when I was 10, and it was our local public schools in Stockton, California, that were the beating heart of my American experience. I made my friends there. I found mentors. I learned to fit in, hypothetically, despite being a biracial expat. And my family couldn't afford private school, right? Public school was where I landed and where I fit. And when we moved to Wisconsin 20 years ago, public schools were where I became part of this community in Glendale. Until my Jessie, my oldest, started going to school, I had no friends for like my first 4 years here, right? But when we started coming to school at Parkway, that's where we met the people who are my adopted family here. That's what, and I don't just mean other students and their families, I also mean staff, teachers, leaders in our school community. So my experiences, as many of us, are the positive outcomes made possible by generation upon generation upon generation of dedicated public service by educators, administrators, school board members, and I don't know what could be more ambitious than that. And I don't know if you always feel that for everyone who's sitting in this room, because I know we get beaten down by the daily work. So my grounding is this. I hope when you look in the mirror, every single person in this room, you see your place in the extraordinary story of public schools in America. I see it in each of you. I am incredibly honored to be seated at this table in this room. Oh, that's it. We are granted. All right, moving on to item 2A, public comment. At this time, visitors may speak on any non-agenda item subject to our public participation policy.
On the phones, I know it's the same board docs, just so.
Nothing online?
Nothing online.
No one in person, all right. Moving on in our agenda, we have no items today under standing agenda item 3, whole child growth and success. We are at item 4A, equity committee updates and recommendations. And I believe Javier is in the house. Welcome and thanks for being here tonight.
Thanks. Nice. Supposed to sit here? Is that right?
Yep, we got it.
All right, and I think you all have a printout of and hopefully have received the proposal in advance.
This is underneath you. Thank you.
So I'm not sure how much time everybody's had to read in advance. I want to avoid just reading a thing that you all can read. But if you haven't, I'll say first, thanks for the opportunity to speak and present on behalf of the Equity Committee. This is our first proposal since we reconstituted earlier this school year. And so this proposal was led by Keisha Axon Pryor, one of the parents and members of the Equity Committee meeting. I mentioned her specifically because of her HR experience and expertise, which led to this proposal. So this is specifically a proposal for exit and stay interviews to be conducted on an annual basis, particularly also outsourcing them so that they're not done exclusively within the district or within the school itself. You can see the objective there to enhance employee feedback quality, reduce bias, and strengthen overall organizational effectiveness, along with the proposal underneath. I'll also call your attention a few paragraphs down before it gets to the interview volume. There's a paragraph that starts with by intentionally. I just want to lift up, so this is also kind of the objective and the purpose here. By intentionally centering representation and equitable support within staff engagement practices, we strengthen our ability to retain educators who have elevated impacts on student achievement and foster a learning environment where all students can thrive. So I want to, like I said, avoid reading through all of the details of it. What is a good appropriate protocol? Should we pause so you all have a chance to read through?
I think we just received this, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so I think you should summarize I would propose you summarize for us what you want us to know, what you think is most important, and then we can go around the room and ask questions and.
Okay, sounds good. So essentially, this is a proposal recognizing that every year some number of staff there's turnover, and understanding the rationale for when and why staff leave is very, very important, and particularly when we consider and using an equity lens, of course, which the district has one, right? When we consider particular groups of students particularly in our case, Black students, where assuming the achievement gap that is persistent and present in most communities is continues to be present here in Glendale-River Hills, and that Black students make up roughly 33% of the student body. Retention of Black educators is a priority for our equity committee because of the research and how it demonstrates the impact on the experience of Black students in schools. It's not mentioned here, but I've also seen it cited and suggested that Black educators, presence of Black educators has a similar positive impact for non-Black students as well. And so while we don't link the specific studies, there are a few mentioned here. And of course, we always want all of our recommendations to be steeped in research and evidence. So would encourage you all to the extent that you need to follow up on finding the various bodies of research that support this analysis. So that's kind of the big picture. I think what I'll add, of course, is I am personally, and we haven't discussed, weren't able to find in the scope of our preparation any specific data on other marginalized groups, and to the extent to which, let's say Latino teachers have a similar impact on Latino students. I don't know to what extent that there's a correlation or a similar, I'm losing the word, but that's applicable, right? For other groups, it may in fact be, and of course that would be worthwhile to understand, as this is not a proposal to, of course, to only interview Black educators, right? The proposal is for, particularly for around 5 per year of the departures of staff, and around, in addition, one really important, initially this was a proposal around exit interviews. But an important addition that we included was recognition that it's also important to understand why teachers are staying within the district. So this also includes stay interviews, which includes around 125 employees. This would be on a biannual basis because of that volume. So twice a year, 125 to get to the total of 250 total per year, 255 annually. What is laid out after that is a range of options for third parties for you all to consider with budget estimates. And you can see with those 3 options, essentially there's trade-offs with each of them. There's going to be a lot higher cost if you were to bring on a third-party HR company. There are a lot of colleges and HR departments that might be able to partner kind of in the mid-tier. That's going to be a little bit lower cost. Also build some community ties, but then it requires the oversight of those students and the recruitment of the programs and the participants to conduct that work. And then lastly, there's an option that may be the cheapest, which is perhaps community partners, retired HR professionals, but that also requires the most kind of outlay in terms of staff preparation and oversight and time. And it's also possible that there's some combination of those 3 that is viable. Broadly, we explored the possibilities of, I think with Anna's suggestion, discussion with some of your team, and feel free to jump in, Anna, the extent to which it was possible to conduct this in-house for a number of reasons, including some of the ones that are laid out here. The transparency, the capacity for people to be honest, to give their full honest opinion, and a number of other factors, ensuring that there isn't bias with the person conducting, et cetera. The recommendation is to use a third party. So in addition to that recommendation, you can see that there are a number of implementation steps for how this could roll out. Some suggested roles for part-time HR staff and how they would contribute and supplement the third party work that would be done. And I'll also add that I think per the board's guidance from last time, this isn't perfect or exhaustive. This is what we could pull together within a reasonable time, particularly aiming for this meeting so that there was the possibility of testing a little bit this year with any staff that might exit this school year. So there may be the opportunity to move quickly and implement some initial testing that would then inform a more thorough and intentional piloting of this proposal for next school year. And I will stop there. That's my summary.
Thank you so much. Okay, let's go around the room. I was gonna start here, Danielle. Do you wanna start off with questions and comments?
Oh, no, I can just quickly say I appreciate this, and I'm sorry I'm having technical difficulties. I wanted to clarify that we're not being asked to like take any action tonight, right? Okay. It would be awesome if you wouldn't mind sharing like the sources you guys did use or like what you've referenced
The
at a
studies.
later.
Oh.
Yeah, like what, yeah, because you mentioned there's several.
Yes.
If you could take some of the legwork out of that for me, I wouldn't be upset, but if you can't, I also understand. And no, I mean, I've always also wondered a little bit about in-house interviews and just that same concern, so this makes sense and I really appreciate all the work.
I mean, I was in the meetings where this was discussed, and I've read through it a couple times. I would add that there was some discussion around our in-house HR person not being especially comfortable doing this. She feels like it puts her in a weird position.
Yeah.
Was that
Maybe that's
correct?
I felt like our person felt like we wanted to use, she felt like it would be better for her to use a form. To capture that, and have people type responses, and then I think it was the decision of the equity, committee talks about the fact that that person to person piece would be there, and it also. I think Keisha talked extensively about the idea that an HR person would work to develop those relationships with people, to have to be that neutral source within the organization to do that. However, I think the preferred method would be to like have that come out, but from a practicality standpoint, we talked a lot about, and a cost standpoint, that like if our HR generalist had the opportunity to be seen as somebody who remained neutral, who people could talk to and work to build those relationships, that could be potentially viable. And then Keisha also shared with me feedback on questions to just kind of go this round. There was a conversation about the fact that we've had staff who wants to talk to specific, like, I mean, just, I want to speak specifically to you as the superintendent on my way out the door, which is fine, right? And I think we need to say the exit interviews or stay interviews would become a systematic thing that happen. And then those personal preferences could be honored in addition to that, right? But just so there's continuity, I think that was a big talk about it, but yeah. So I think the initial concern was putting that person in a weird spot, but I also feel like that's also part of the generalist.
Yeah. And sorry, can I just add, I think that we have an opportunity with a new person too, to like, to potentially utilize her as a more neutral role, like. Yeah, you know, not being super familiar with people potentially. I did have one question I forgot. I'm really sorry, just it's about the number. But let's okay, I'll
finish first.
come back.
No, yeah, no.
Whenever, yeah. No, it's okay. I'll everyone go and then I'll.
Can you?
Yeah.
Come back.
Yeah, maybe so.
Chris?
I don't know a lot about, I mean, first of all, I thoroughly support exit
Yeah,
interviews and stay interviews. I don't know a lot about stay interviews. I think I've listened to one podcast. That's the totality of my experience.
It's more than one.
And what I took away from that, this is a little I'm having trouble wrapping my head around an outside party. Because I thought of them as relationship building I really value you, I want you to stay. What do you love about working here? What makes it harder for you to be your best? And that to me is not about being neutral. It's about being a good listener, having a strong relationship, of really hearing and being in a position to see what's possible. So for what that's worth, I'm just having a little trouble wrapping my head around an outside person doing that.
Could I, like, to me, it would make sense for like the stay interviews to be in-house, because like you said, it's relationship. Like, if
Yeah,
somebody's
yeah.
leaving,
Yeah.
they might be less honest
Yeah,
about why they're.
For sure. that makes sense.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that was my take, like,
Mhm.
the stay ones 100%
Yeah.
should be here, if they're staying, there's a reason they're staying, and they're probably relatively comfortable with people here.
I think one kind of theme that we discussed for quite a while was the extent to which these could be done by a form and be anonymous, and to what extent they needed to be uh, anonymity was not possible given the goals. And so I mentioned that on a couple levels, particularly because the goals are about ensuring that educators with specific identities are heard and valued. I think the one aspect of the kind of direct in-house stay interviews is the question is the extent to which there might be an influence. Like if you're interviewing me, but you also have hiring, firing, promotion
Mhm.
power over my job,
Mhm.
what are the likelihoods that I'm going to tell you the negative things about your own leadership?
Mhm.
Right, or the negative things about somebody who I know is really close to you, and so there's questions about just transparency. And so I think the primary rationale about a third party is that it allows people to be honest,
Mhm.
even if they're staying but dissatisfied about things.
Mhm.
They may be otherwise incentivized to kind of be quiet about those things, if it's with somebody particularly within the system and who has influence, informal or formal. It's not exclusively about right the formal influence of hiring decisions or firing decisions. So that's one rationale.
I feel like it's trickier in a small district like ours too, because everybody knows everybody, and like in a bigger district, you could have someone who's at the district office, and that's the only reason to see them all year is for these interviews, and you can tell whatever. But in ours, it's not like that.
Well, to that same end though, I would argue against the whole relationship development piece anyway, right? Like if I were to go talk to an HR person in MPS. It would be like talking to the wall, because I would never see them again, and also some of us have had experience there.
Yeah.
So like,
Which begs the question, what happens to that information?
well, but I guess that's my point, right? It's like, if we're talking about. So again, absolutely support stay interviews 100%, absolutely support exit interviews. I'm a little concerned about the expense models that are especially given.
Can I pause you for 1 minute? Sorry to interrupt. I want to make sure Chris is done.
I am.
Oh, okay, thanks. Sorry.
Sorry, I thought she had nodded at me.
Oh, okay. I did not observe the nod. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
We just had to ask the voters to help us support what is currently just the daily function of our district. And I guess I'm wondering why 2 times a year a model as opposed to 1 time a year for the stay interviews? And what about percentages? Like, was there discussion on a model where a certain percentage of the staff were interviewed annually as opposed to a totality of the staff?
Yeah, to your first point, which was about, wait, I'm sorry, there was the percentage, what was the first point? I lost it.
Was I appreciate you gave us like different cost models, so I get it, like that's just how that works, right?
Yeah.
But to that end, why then stay interviews twice a year?
Oh, I see. That's right. I believe the twice a year is more about just the volume, just recognizing that there are 250 staff that would be interviewed each year, 255 total. And so it's dividing it up at 2 different points in the year.
Okay, and then more so to the point of possibly discussing just a percentage of staff annually with the goal of, with like having a 3-year goal or something, and possibly attaching that then to. I don't know if it would be appropriate to attach it to reviews, but probably not, because that would feel it odd, but. Having like a separate rotation then of people who. Would possibly be tracked that way, but that could scale down the cost possible.
I think that's a smart consideration. I don't know the math around how to get an accurate sampling of staff and whether or not their priorities in terms of tenure versus new staff versus but that's a level of math that is beyond me. And so I will say that we can always bring questions like that back to Keisha, who has, I think, the most expertise in both conducting these and then training and research background and the theory of it. So I'll make a note to bring that to as a clarification. Is there a theoretical rationale for why it has to be everybody versus can it be a sample size?
I think that'd be really helpful. And then, oh gosh, I had a thought and then it fell out of my head and now I had it again and it fell out again.
We can come back to them.
Yeah, if you could just, thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Ditto. I was thinking about your comment about how the presence of Black educators improves the experience of non-Black students as well. There's a lot of evidence around that in the disability arena, more focused on students, that when you have students with disabilities included in regular education classrooms, actually everyone benefits, not just the students with disabilities. I think it's the same idea.
Right.
Humanity likes diversity, and everyone benefits from it. But I do wonder about the other intersections too. We have a very large student body with disabilities. I don't know what kind of representation there is or of disability in our teacher population, so I think given where my advocacy lies, I want to make sure that if we're doing these interviews, we don't have a single focus on one intersection. Right, because when we do that, we also limit the kind of feedback we're getting from people. If we're, it always depends on what kinds of questions are being asked. So that's my area of curiosity. Who would be creating the exit interview? Who would be writing the questions?
So I shared with the team what previous questions have been asked. The questions were, what are your primary reasons for leaving the districts? How would you describe your overall experience working in the district? What improvements could the district make to attract and retain staff? Keisha thought those were good, and she added also, what aspects of your job did you find most satisfying or motivating? Were there any challenges or obstacles in your role that impacted your performance or job satisfaction? And then if you could change one thing about your job or work environment, what would it be and why? Right?
Okay, those are very open.
It's very open-ended questions, and really the model for looking at this would be generating open-ended questions, having like whether it's a neutral party or it's a form or it's an HR generalist in our district, is pulling those results together and then actually analyzing them and looking for patterns and themes. Like the idea is, that's
exactly
those patterns and themes that emerge are what are going to drive us creating a better work environment for our educators.
Right.
And when patterns and themes arise around certain groups of people or different intersections of people, then that gives us wisdom about how to do that work better, right? That's thinking.
Yeah, and so coming back to Karn's thoughts about money, right? Because that was one of my first reactions too. It's a lot of money. So if you are at the high end of the scale, you're looking at the salary of more than one teacher. So the question in my mind is, what's the qualitative and the financial benefit? Is there evidence that establishes a well-crafted exit and stay interview process, reduces turnover, thus creating cost savings? Can we justify this expense and see that we're gonna see improvements and savings and efficiencies that make it worth it?
And
I think that's I think what would be a real driving part of the conversation for me.
And I think the work of the equity committee is to make recommendations, and the recommendations that they're making are, that the administration would then
yes,
move through those pieces of the
see if
work.
it's gonna work.
Right.
See if it's gonna work.
Right,
Got
and
it,
so
got it.
I guess I could speak from my own perspective that if the board and we are seeing this as being of something of value, then it would be the charge of the administration to work with the team here and with Michelle within our budgetary confinements to say, this is how we can implement this. I think the piece of the value that the equity committee is bringing to this is, what are those areas that might be a catch? Like to Katie's point before, where's the catch in having somebody who's not neutral? Those are the thinking pieces that committee is providing to the administration to be able to make those kind of decisions.
Okay, yeah. I get it. I had the same sort of philosophical reaction as you did. Did this idea of especially stay interviews being outsourced, especially in light of the non-negotiables, right? Where we listen to each other and we teach each other. I mean, part of having brave conversations is also somehow enabling people to feel safe, right? And I know we're working on it, but if we create a model that says safety looks like talking to someone other than the person you're in relationship with, is that moving our equity dream forward? Right? Or is our work to have a culture and an environment in which if I have a problem with my boss or I'm in a stay interview, that I feel safe telling Chris, my boss, these are the challenges I face. And Chris knows that her job is to listen and create safety. Right? So when we outsource that, we lose that opportunity to, the way you put it, I like, to build relationship, to learn how to live within our equity dream. And to learn to be listeners, to learn to push and stretch ourselves. I don't know what the answer to that is. So I'm just gonna have to sit here with it because the outsourcing idea obviously that's easy. That's easy. Someone else can do that hard work of hearing, but easy isn't equity, right? Equity is hard for us to be able to hear hard things and kind of grow as leaders, grow as, you know what I mean? So I'm not saying, I'm just saying out loud when I'm thinking about this, that I'm gonna have to sit with it and think what makes the most sense, long-term versus short-term. So I'm okay with the discomfort, right? I know you are too, and I don't know. And then I also think about,
I'm only laughing because I was sitting here thinking of my exit interviews and I'm like, I don't have a problem. And I thought, well, of course I don't, because that's my nature.
you're right, exactly. I know, right? And that's how I am. So I know not everyone feels that way. And then I also think about how often when you're not facing the person you're talking about, what comes out your mouth can be really different. The value you put in it, the freedom and the sometimes, you think about internet trolls and stuff, right? And so I totally hear what you're saying, and I'm just sort of sitting here with a big question mark. So just sharing that as you think about what this looks like. But the idea of stay interviews and exit interviews is something we've talked about for years, and I think it would be wonderful if we can build a healthy model for doing that. So, back around to you. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, no, sorry, I was a little frazzled at the beginning. Things I think about, don't know the answer to are around like anonymity versus being able to collect demographic information and really thinking about our KPIs, attracting new talent and teachers newer to the profession versus, so like, I think that has to be at play in terms of like the consideration of the process. And to what Carla's saying in terms of like the brave conversations, I understand it, and I wonder like until you are there or you have people who are there, and you may not always know but have confidence in the people there that the power dynamics and the things that Javier mentioned might be in the back of my head for various reasons, that you can't predict. And it doesn't mean that a third party is necessarily the answer, but it might mean the process needs to be very structured or outlined, and there would be training on the front end for the people doing it. There would be a lot of, I'm thinking like restorative type, like there would be a lot of that work. And I don't know if it would be peer to peer, or I don't know if it would be I think you could maybe think outside of the box a little bit, because I'm guessing maybe it hasn't been done perfectly yet.
That was the question I forgot.
Yeah. So I guess I think it's like what I would ask the administration to do in thinking about it is like, how do we utilize this as an opportunity to grow our staff, our administration, right, in this process, while acknowledging that it will be imperfect in that way. You can't erase power dynamics or institutional racism or people needing a job for money, like all of those things. And so considering that, like what safeguards, what processes do we put in place, what training, so that you can, try to get there, I think. So that's kind of like, those are the things I would ask you guys to think about as you try to put this into play. But, and yeah, and obviously money has to be, but Unfortunately, so maybe the process won't be perfect either, but again, if the intent is there and it will have value, you know. Anyway,
And
so
costs
that's,
will be lower if you follow a sample size, a smaller sample size with a rotation.
right,
That would
so
help spread out and.
I think the more specific you get to like a KPI too,
Yeah.
to tracking, it adds that value, and then
Right.
you will be able to really see the tangible, like,
That's right.
not just
Potential.
numbers of staff, but yeah, so anyway, I appreciate this so much, you guys took our feedback and you.
Can I break order and just say the KPI I was thinking about, I was thinking about the community survey and how this might intersect. And overlap and,
I was thinking of those overall teacher satisfaction.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, so the KPI is right there.
Well, I think is retention one of them, this
Yeah.
there too as well,
Yeah.
so.
Yes.
Did anyone else have things that they had? Sorry.
No, you came up, yeah, I'm done.
This, anything else?
Mhm.
Yeah, go.
Two things, I think if we were to do a sample, we may be focusing on the people most likely leave in terms of like the newer teachers and things like that, and then do people outside of their summary years, if
Right.
we're wanting to kind of divorce the process from
Oh, right, because you
from,
don't do the evaluation.
evaluation. And then also that
Right.
stay interviews can be a source of identifying leadership, interest, and potential
Yeah.
next
Mhm.
steps and things.
Yes.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Chris, Karen, I mean, oh my God, I just called you Chris.
Javier, what were you going to say?
I had a few things that came up in as y'all were reflecting, but you can go first.
Okay. The question that I had forgotten, and you may have answered this at the beginning and, you know. Are there studies of school districts doing this type of process that we would be able to possibly base models off of or not? Like, you
Right,
know,
the counter examples.
Right.
I'm sure there are. We did not spend time researching those. Keisha's lens was as a HR professional in a corporate setting that has implemented these and knows the value firsthand, and then also from
Yes.
her training within that context. And so I think we move forward with that context as our charge, and
Yeah.
would love to find out with you,
Yeah.
join you in that curiosity.
thank you.
Back
Yeah,
to you, Javier.
thanks. Yeah, I think, I heard Danielle, I heard you mention, not perfect, and, something in my work that we always lift up is perfection is a aspect of white supremacy culture, and so perfection is never the goal, right? What is instead is experimentation and continuous improvement.
Yeah.
And so I think one benefit to considering the sampling is you could try different things. The number of
Yeah.
good ideas were brought up, and I think another thing that the committee talked a lot about was something that you mentioned that is absolutely really important, Anna. You helped us understand how already the staff are engaged with the framing of any kind of surveying, any kind of and how both the framing of what is this, what is the intention, is going to be incredibly important to get buy-in and participation. But then the most important part of keeping the buy-in and participation is how is this information then implemented and shared back?
Right.
Here's what we learned, here's what we are now doing differently. And so I think that all feeds into, for us, our proposal and recommendation that whatever is decided, that the decision is not we'll try this out for 1 year, but instead, how will we incorporate this into an intentional process that builds and improves year after year?
Yeah.
So that was one piece that came up for me. Let's see if there was anything else. Nope, those are the two things that I wanted to hit, so.
Any visitors or anyone online who wishes to make any comments?
There are no comments.
Anyone else here? It's awesome. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah,
Appreciate the thought and the work that's behind this.
Yes.
Happy to represent the committee.
Thank you.
This is not all my work.
I did.
Thanks, y'all. We got more coming on future meetings.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't have to be there. Support the kids.
Awesome. All right. Love it. All right, moving on to item 4B, appointment of canvassers. Anna.
All right, so in the consistency with Wisconsin State Statute 7.53, municipal canvas, the school district clerk, who is Chris Robinson, will appoint, we're asking her to appoint, Kayla Bershevsky and Kim Hess to serve as the district board of canvassers for the April 7th, 2026 election. So we just need to appoint our canvassers. And they need to be two residents of our community, which both Kayla and Kim Hess are.
Start with a motion.
I move to approve the election canvassers.
Should we name them?
Sure.
So Kayla.
Kim Hassan, Kayla B.
I stopped after Kayla because I was like, 20 years, I still, for sure. So, motion to appoint Kayla Kim as the canvassers, right? Is there a second?
Second.
I'll give it to Katie.
Give it to her.
Oh, yes, yeah. Well, it should be Katie because Chris is
Okay,
the appointer, right? Yeah. So Karen Conwell, Katie Avalos seconds. Okay, so yeah, I mean, technically you're kind of approving the. Yeah, it's a little tricky, yeah.
Yeah.
Any discussion, Kate?
These two ladies worked great with me the last 2 years when I did it, and I'm sure they'll be great for Chris too.
Chris? Yeah.
Great. I appreciate their willingness to take this on.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
Karen?
I would just echo what Chris said.
Did I know? Yeah, appreciate the willingness. Any comments from visitors or online?
It's just Mr. Martin that's on, and he said he wasn't gonna have comments.
So we have a motion to approve the appointment of Kayla Bershevsky and Kim Hess to serve as our canvassers for the April 7 election. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries with 5 ayes. Thank you. And thank you, Chris, for being our clerk and taking care of this.
Yeah, I also would ask if Chris needs to fill out some paperwork tonight, correct? For our appointment of canvassers.
No, we do it right before we start.
Right before we start, okay, just want to make sure we got that, and so we'll talk about the scheduled date for that at that of our.
Make sure you're signing him pulled up, okay, stretches.
And then then after that is when Danielle can be sworn in, right?
Yes.
You guys have to do the numbers, so I think it's at the next meeting
Yes.
that you will
Yeah.
officially be sworn in.
Yep. Am I right now?
Yeah, because the canvassers haven't, yeah,
You haven't finished your last term.
I see.
you're auditing today. You're auditing the board.
I'm phoning it.
All right, very good. Moving on to item 5A, operational referendum discussion. Anna, should we start with you?
Sure, just one second here. Just wanted to have an opportunity to thank our community first and foremost for their ongoing support of our public schools and the important role that they play in ensuring that we are cultivating citizens who are going to take over and to do good things in the world. I had the opportunity last night to attend the Unsung Heroes component and got to talk to some of our students who chose people, and I'd ask them why they choose, and they would say because they're brave, because they're courageous, because they're kind, because they're helpful, because they look out for others. And so knowing that those are really endearing and important characteristics that we want to make sure we're growing in students, and those opportunities last night show me that this is a place and schools are a place where that can happen. And so I'm incredibly pleased and grateful. I understand that with that comes a great deal of responsibility in terms of ensuring that we continue to grow and progress as a district, that we improve upon ourselves, that Michelle and I continue to work really diligently at making sure that we are being good stewards of money along with the support and oversight of the board to ensure that we are thinking about how we continue to operate as efficiently as possible and to cut costs where it's appropriate. So thank you to our community, and I'm very pleased to be able to move forward in the work, and pleased for my staff, and pleased for our students, and pleased for our families who will continue to receive really high quality education.
Go around the table if anyone has any comments to make. I think we're Katie's first.
Thanks to the community. I'm glad that they did what I thought they would do. Had some interesting discussions with my own children last night. My Ethan he's like, how did 40% not want this to pass? And I was like, he's like, I feel like that's a loss. I'm like, it's not. And then I pulled up some other results where it was much closer. And he's like, yeah, no, I still don't get it. It was like, we did everything we possibly could and we won, so that's what counts. And it's interesting to me that he was that invested in it, but he was disappointed that so many people weren't. So, I guess I'm raising him okay. But but thanks so much to the community because this means a lot that they have this confidence in us.
Chris?
I feel like we're on a very good path with the strategic plan and the KPIs and the right leadership in place. And I'm just delighted that we don't have to start slashing things. And I take the community's trust really seriously. I know we all do. And that we'll do our best to honor their trust in us. And the shared understanding that it takes strong schools to have strong communities.
Yeah, I mean, by my count yesterday, there were 6 operational referendums that passed and 3 that failed. And I am really thankful that tonight at this table, we get to celebrate the fact that ours passed and that we're not sitting here looking at each other wondering, what do we have to do to continue to be able to serve our children and our families and our staff? So, I mean, I didn't even understand honestly until this morning, just how much I was really, concerned about it. I will say to what it's worth, putting it out into the universe, the fact that the state of Wisconsin continues to rely on property taxes as the primary funding model for schools is a profound flaw in the funding model.
Yeah.
And there is a downward trend in referendum approval and continuing to educate and help people understand that it's not just that we need to keep asking like this, but we need to be pushing for the model of funding to change. That's what needs to change. Not just continue to educate people about why we're asking money. And so that's, I think, a pivot that really, I am very thankful we have 4 years. I feel like I can breathe. Right? This is the first time since I've been on the school board. And like literally, this is my first time where I'm confident that we have a span of time where we can comfortably, work and plan and have a sense of what is it we're going to do for 4 more years. And I'm thankful for that.
And we don't have to hold our breath for 3 months waiting to see if the community does it again.
You raise an interesting point because, like related to what's on my mind, which is we have 4 years to engage in some heavy duty advocacy and to engage community in that advocacy and to work for state change because we're not just, begging locally for people to support our kids by increasing taxes on themselves. Danielle and I were talking about this earlier, 60-40 feels tight to a young adult, but we know that's actually a really big gap. And I understand why people who are on fixed income, who are living check to check, whose property values have been assessed so high that they can not afford the taxes anymore for the home they've lived in for 40 years. I understand why no is your only option in that, or abstention from that vote. And that's the problem with relying on local property taxes, right? So, but I do think we as a board, we're very engaged, we're proactive, and I think we can put that energy into particularly state level advocacy. And so I feel like, through my own filter, our community has given us that with this 4 years. We're gonna let your staff focus on educating. Now you as our representatives, go do what you need to do to start changing the legislative landscape. So my goal is to take this and use it as motivation, knowing our community is behind us to move us forward. at the state level and continue to make that noise. And I think when community members get engaged in that advocacy, whether we give them postcards or give them call scripts or whatever, that helps with education around why we need a referendum, right? But I want to say, I'm talking too much, but I want to say that the yeoman's labor is with Anna and Michelle, really. I mean, this referendum would not have passed if the community didn't have confidence in our district, and that weighs heavy on your shoulders. And you've led the charge, even in the videos Karen made, the only one video I made, the advocacy and the information sharing we've done around this. It's because of talking points and information you all have shaped and created for us and with us. And so I don't think there's enough gratitude. Because you know, speaking of ambition, you both stepped into an impossible situation where I think most people would not have when you took on these leadership mantles. And so, you've done it. This referendum is your success.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I felt emotional the last few days. So I'll try to keep it together. But as much as I want to celebrate, that's not the main feeling. I feel is relief, like relief for our administrators who get to focus on kids for a little bit, even though the work has to continue in the background, which is, you know, insanity. So it's like I am grateful to our community, but I am more motivated, more energized than ever to keep engaging our community, to keep advocating for, you know, bigger change. I saw an article that referenced superintendents and like how like being stuck in this referendum to survive cycle is not sustainable. No. And it's draining and it's taking away so much from, you know, your like it's anyway, so that is obviously like I feel very lucky. I feel relieved for my kids. Yeah, I'm grateful and I am really motivated to keep educating our community and keep pushing for change. And I know there are people, you know, people who voted no, like I'm coming for you. Like I want to engage with you and I want to understand and I want to see if I can change your mind. If I can't, that's okay, but it's not gonna stop me from trying because it's really important. Sorry. Yeah, so I'm grateful for everybody's work for this.
Anyone else? Anything to say? It's all been said. You got a referendum. Oh, and Anna sent out a letter to community today and to Alec.
We sent the letter.
We wrote a letter together.
Yeah.
Anna wrote it first. And I provided
Is
comments.
it a mailer? Or what is that?
No, it went out in Parent Square, so you're digested, it'll come digested, and then it also is on the website in the spring referendum.
Oh, okay.
To 2026 area, so if anybody were to visit that, they would see the thank you notice and thank you letter from Carla and I there.
And somehow I think
And
our thank you from the community newsletter a couple editions ago was in this newsletter.
For the city, you mean?
For the city,
Glendale.
sorry, I think I saw Caitlin open a new newsletter from the city and I saw our ad in it, which
The old ad with that photo.
where we're thanking voters for supporting our schools. So if anybody sees that, it's a reprint. I didn't know.
Yeah.
It would be really awkward if it hadn't have passed. And
Well, let's verify that.
yeah, so that's what I think that is in that, so we can verify that, but.
And the Journal Sentinel reached out last night to see if we'd be providing a statement last night, and I did not provide them one. I said we would be meeting tonight, because I don't know the outcome, right?
Yeah.
But once we had a generous lead and we know that will be in place, then I sent our letter to the Journal Sentinel as well too.
Awesome.
They can do with it. They would.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There you go.
Before we transition, because I keep forgetting, I think of it and I don't know, my memory is apparently very minimal. This door is locked, and so for an open meeting, people are not able to get entry to the room right now. So,
I didn't know.
I coached that high school.
no, that's
No,
okay. Oh,
It's not well.
oh,
I tried to get in.
Oh, it might, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
If it's closed, it might actually. Here, I'm just trying to-
Michelle takes a perilous route.
Oh, no, okay, well.
I think your arms are just very full.
Stop.
So that's good.
Maybe the sign tricked me too yet, because I didn't see anybody yet. No, we'll just say it was me.
It's not very helpful testing.
You can pull that off.
You can open it now that the suits are.
It's really hard.
Yeah. it's more
I just wanted to
fun.
make sure that we were practicing like.
Yeah.
Good.
Good open meeting hygiene.
Right, yeah, I get it.
But I practiced anything like that.
They're good.
Yep, there's,
All right.
it's gonna keep doing that. You gotta use the chair.
Well, it's
Well,
not
look
latch.
at the window open, now we can see someone waving it up.
Yeah, no, come in faster.
Alright.
All right, moving on to item 6A. Does anyone need a break, by the way, or are we all good?
No. We have a closed coming.
Yeah, all right, 6A, staffing changes. Back to you, Anna.
All right. All right, so for board policy 4140, I'm acting on behalf of the board. So just keeping you in the loop, I accepted the resignation of Leatrice Johnson, a special education paraprofessional at Glen Hills. She was joining the police academy and we were super excited for her and really sad to see her go. So, but a good opportunity for her. And then for her replacement of that position, I'm asking for board approval for Madison Medishowski. Close, okay. As special education paraprofessional at Glen Hills. So that's kind of the first part of this. So I don't know if we want to pause right there and look at that as one separate piece, and then we'll move into the other piece around policy 3111.
Start with a motion.
I move to approve the hiring of Madison Matuszewski as a special education paraprofessional at Glen Hills.
Second.
Go ahead.
Chris, it is Chris.
All right, all right.
I would have had you by.
What do they call that? A photo finish, a photo second, yeah. All right, any discussion? We're on Chris. Going first. Garn? Carla? Nothing? Danielle?
It's great that we can fill it so quickly.
Yeah. Katie? All right, we've got a motion by Danielle Bailey, second by Chris Robinson to approve the hire of Madison Matuszewski as a sped para at Glen Hills. All in favor? Aye. Welcome, Madison, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so the second big staffing change that I'd like to bring forward is the creation of a 1.0 FTE cross-categorical special education position for Parkway that would be starting in the 26-27 school year. Compensation would be offered following the 90% of the max salary comparables on years of service and level of education. So that would vary, right, depending on what, if an educator was coming to us with a master's, or if they were coming to us without a master's, how many years of experience. Broad scope that could cost the district somewhere between 80 to slightly over $100,000, right? With benefits. So it would be adding a full-time FTE, and the reason for that is the increase in the weighted caseloads that we are seeing in special education, and those predictions that Ms. Weiss-Skolacki has gone over during open enrollment. But I am going to have her just kind of speak a little bit towards those weighted caseloads and just kind of review that information with you, and then also talk a little bit about how we see the ability to fund this position coming through transfer of service. That's just an explanation of transfer of service for all.
Oh,
okay.
So what you're looking at that's put in board docs is what we went over when we looked at projected caseloads for the upcoming school year. Looking at projected weights for 26-27. We've had a number of students that have either moved in from other districts already with an IEP, or students that have come in through birth to 3 services also, which are 2 ways we can look at transfer of service as a mechanism. for essentially transferring the cost from one agency to our LEA as the agency that's providing services for students. We do have a number of students that would qualify for transfer of services. We're considering adding in this FTE for a cross-categorical special education teacher. And quite honestly, you can see in front of you where the bulges are. In our caseloads, we've got some real bulges at 5K, first grade, kind of those earlier grades specifically, we're bulging right now, to the point where, you know, my concern is beyond compliance, also teacher burnout. I want our teachers to feel that they're effective and that they can meet the needs of our students. And so our conversation is, could we look at using transfer of services as a mechanism to help fund this position?
Okay. Let's start with whether someone wants to make a motion, then we can discuss.
I move to approve the cross-categorical special education position for Parkway Elementary. I guess. Is that accurate or is like the position?
It's the creation.
Right, that's okay. I moved it right, all right, okay.
Yeah.
I move to approve the creation of an additional cross-categorical special education position for Parkway Elementary. That's it.
Is there a second? Second. And discussion. I think we're on Karn first.
I think we're actually on Chris. Maybe. It doesn't
You said Chris last time that she didn't have anything.
matter. Well, it's complicated to have questions, we're just looking at it now, but, one of the conversations at the state level that I don't necessarily feel like I have a good handle on is around specially designed instruction compared to, for instance, program modifications, and where is the value of the time of our professional, right? Which is not to suggest that program modifications takes less time, it often takes more. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with what program modifications are, it's the work you have to do in the background to successfully support the students in regular education. But I guess that was one thing I'm wondering, how are those conversations happening, and does that shift some of this need? It's a long-term commitment, and to do it well is not something to do lightly. But when we're looking at service levels, especially design instruction, are we looking at what component of the individual is truly specially designed in their interaction compared to that background work that affords them the access to full inclusion or truly accessing all of their environment and their educational experience? You know, certainly it's true we don't want staff burnout, right? And so ensuring, I guess the other question I would have is, on average, we have 30 new students a year identified with special education needs.
That have either moved in with special education needs, have been identified, or newly qualified.
And is that an annual average or is
That's
that,
that was a rolling average across, I want to say, 5 years.
okay, and how many students annually exit the district?
Through dismissal, other than like attrition for students leaving once they leave us in 8th grade, so
Sure.
that's highly dependent on if there's a bulge at that level. So there's that, and then our overall dismissal rate is, I'd have to get that number to you.
Yeah, sorry,
Mhm.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
This
I-
makes
I don't
sense.
have that.
no longer qualified,
Graduating,
right?
like,
Yeah,
like we might call it graduating, right?
yeah,
No longer-
doesn't need an IEP anymore.
I will
Yeah.
say that it's rare for a student to be dismissed from a more comprehensive program.
Right.
Like more comprehensive programming than, for a student who might qualify for a disability category like a speech and language disability. So that's a frequent dismissal. versus a student that might be identified with a different disability category.
Sure. That would make sense. Brain's doing it again. There we go. Thank you. I appreciate it and the information. The transfer of service, this would be it would be just become a regular practice then, because this is an annual, it's not annually renewable. Michelle, predictably.
As far as transfer service adds to our revenue limit, it adds to the base for the following year.
Okay,
So just over the last 2 years, we have, in 24-25, we increased our revenue limit by 54,000 through transfer service. And then this year it was 102,000. So that's 156,000 that we've been able to levy for special education needs because of students coming into our district with those needs already identified.
And we may not have come with an ask because it might have been a student that came with a service that we contract out for. So there quite possibly could have been a student that came in that required vision services, orientation and mobility services, and then we have to go and ask for them to just adjust the contract so that they're able to swoop up and continue that service as well.
So the pattern has been that we're seeing an increase in costs, that we are able to capture some of that.
with the transfer service.
Yes.
And what, do you have a sense of the percentage?
In looking at the lists of what we're seeing this year, we're anticipating that we would have, I don't know a percentage, but that we would see probably similar to what we've seen this year. Or the average of those, 2 years, approximately 75,000.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does the transfer of service exemption last for the duration of the student's enrollment, or is it like a time limit?
It actually lasts beyond that.
Oh,
Years ago, you would lose it when a student left. You would actually have a negative transfer if you had a student, like students that would exit out to the high school district would have been negative. But it's no longer, it just stays up.
So there's a portal we go into, kind of like a athlete transfer portal, and when a student comes to us from another district, we can go in if we feel as though that student has, number one, significantly increased costs, or even sometimes they could just become the tipping point to where a caseload becomes unmanageable. And at that point, you can go in and enter a transfer of service for that student, and then the previous district or agency, oftentimes birth to 3 or the previous school district, all they need to do is go in and say, yep, they were with us previously and we provided their services.
So the money is not coming from the other district?
No,
Okay. It's just added to our exemptions, and then when the student leaves, it stays. How odd.
So it just becomes part of our revenue levy.
Yes. Or levy limit.
Yeah.
Oh, how strange. So over time, hypothetically, that number always grows, it never shrinks.
I feel like we shouldn't talk about it too much, or they're gonna.
No, but I think it's important to understand the system. Just is what it is, right? Fascinating. So the job of a district is to understand and utilize that system.
and it's
So I
not
get it, yeah.
easy also to capture those costs either, because we try really hard to just make do with what we have.
Right,
And, we're reaching some stress points.
Right, so is there you probably told us this when you brought this to us the first time, but I don't remember, is there a recommended maximum caseload?
Yes.
And what's that number?
So for students that have, when we look at our caseloads, if we have students with comprehensive special education needs on their caseload, their weighted limit would be 10. If a student has extensive needs on their caseload, that limit would be 12. I might have mixed up comprehensive and extensive.
But in general, a teacher's caseload should be between 10 and 12 if we had a robust. robust staffing.
Yes.
Wait,
Wait, not students.
Wait.
So-
not
No,
students.
10 to, sorry, I said that one, 10 to 12 weighted caseload.
Yes.
And we're looking at an average right now of 15. So this new position will bring that,
And
alleviate that. Yeah,
yes.
okay, good. Thank you.
So hypothetically, if it's like tipping of the caseload and all of our caseloads are over the threshold of what you would want, wouldn't any additional student be someone you could request like a transfer of service for?
Potentially.
Okay.
And
But
that,
only if they were identified somewhere else.
Right.
not if they
So-
were identified here.
Right.
Sure,
Yeah.
oh, okay, right, but any incoming student, and when you say birth to 3, that means. They're coming into early childhood from birth to 3, so they've already been.
In our public system,
Right.
because there's also birth to 3 portal.
Okay. So, one thing I'd ask Anna for too, just is to understand, I am guessing that this person, or you'd be looking to put this person into the 5K bulge. And is there another word we could say?
Service county.
12. But is that what you're thinking?
That's where we're seeing a need, but we are like looking at, we're doing some service delivery, looking at some various options right now too.
Okay.
At Parkway, but yes, that's where we're seeing a really big bulge that we're trying to prepare ourselves.
And is adding one new position just sort of the threshold at which you think our budget can handle like that additional cost right now? I mean, in an ideal world, you'd probably want to hire more, but I'm also wondering about like younger professionals or newer professionals, and if there is, thinking around, could you hire more if you're hiring? I don't know, I'm sure you've thought about all of that, but I guess I just, if you're looking at.
I mean,
100,000.
we have talked about. Like, do we look at just increasing our para pool? We really feel like we have a lot of expertise and knowledge, and our special educators really take on a significant amount of work in preparing,
Yeah.
like not just specially designed instruction, but helping to design the environment for
Yeah.
our students. To your point, it's a lot of work for students.
Yeah,
So.
the K5 classrooms there's a lot of adults in there at any given time. Or K4, sorry, right now, I've noticed, so I think it too, to the idea of increasing paras, that might not be the independence driven sort of model we want to offer.
Right.
Okay, well, I appreciate this analysis, so thank you. Katie?
I'm really impressed with the creative funding that, like, if we're really able to pull that much more, then. Yeah, and maybe we can get one for Glen Hills when this group comes up this time too, but. But I see the need. I mean, obviously I saw the need when we were talking open enrollment. This is a lot, and so I'm really happy that we found a way to make that work. Budget we have.
It seems like this fits directly into our strategic plan, our campaigns. And when we talk about building a budget that supports your values, it certainly falls within that.
Thank you for always bringing this up.
I know, so good.
And adequate staffing in special education is also just legally required. You gotta be able to meet need. Anyone else? Any other comments online? All right, any more questions from boardies? We have before us a motion to approve the creation of a new cross-categorical special education position at Parkway Elementary. Motion was by Danielle Bailey, second by Chris Robinson. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. And thank you for the clear presentation. Very helpful. Okay. 6B, Summer Academy contracts.
What? All right, we will be this is another instance in which we're looking for board approval for the employment, for our summer academy teacher contracts. So, Jenica Westfall, with the support of Laura Hoff and Michelle Brown, have prepared for you tonight a template for the summer school teacher contract, so you can see what a general teacher contract looks like. And then in addition to that, we've included a list of names of the tentative, right?
Yep, it's a tentative list of names. There is the JR is no longer gonna be joining us, and then the DW at the end is taking the place, so the numbers are.
Yeah.
So I just didn't erase one.
So then a list and the cost of the staffing that is there. Staffing is also gonna be contingent on in our enrollment. Right now, we have enrollment that would reflect the staff that's here. If that enrollment continues to burgeon a little bit more.
No, we're at a little over 400.
Okay, perfect.
Summer academy, so we're looking at this. We are still forming classes, so we may need to hire an additional teacher, but right now, this is our current staffing. Green is district staff, and then the pink are staff members that have worked with us before, except for the last one listed. So it'll be a new staff member.
Oh, great. All right, so they're asking us to approve the summer academy contract template. And these hours or just the template?
It would be the template and the hires.
Oh,
Apologies.
okay.
Yeah.
Zone. It could be, it could be. I think so. It's okay. I move to approve the summer academy contracts template as well as the hires being recommended by the administration at this time. Sorry, 24 hires.
Yeah, we can just 24 hire.
Identified by the administration at this time. Second.
I don't remember.
Is it then it's you? Danielle.
You're
Bailey.
skipping you?
I am skipping me.
Okay.
Any comment, questions?
I'm just curious how this compares, how the rate of pay compares to last year. Is it more, same, less if I were a teacher last year? Am I getting
The rate of pay is the same.
same? Okay, and is this cost relatively the same then from to us,
This cost, it's different. Last year we did not work July 3rd.
Oh,
This
okay.
year we will be working July 3rd, so it was an increase of 1 day.
Oh,
But it's an hourly rate, so it's just a little more.
Okay.
And in comparison to the other districts, our North Shore districts, we're comparable for our pay.
And does this include parents?
This is not.
The 24, okay, that'll be an addition.
Once we,
Okay,
have all the students, then we'll roll into paras.
got it, thanks. Very clear information. Kate?
Looking at the teacher list, once again, sad that my kids can't do this anymore. But thanks for organizing all of this. Looks like the fact that we have that many teachers coming back that don't work for us during the year is pretty impressive, so.
And I think it's wonderful that so many families are taking advantage of it. It shows the quality of the program.
We've had such an increase in our middle school students this year with
Oh,
the
good.
different
Good.
classes and our mentoring program as
Yes.
well. This,
Yeah.
a lot of students.
Feels like it's really responsive to needs, so,
Yep.
and that's showing in the enrollment.
Is this, if you work in the summer, does that salary get added to your, it doesn't get added to your base pay, it's summer pay, it's separate, but does it get factored into your retirement?
The WRS at work.
So that might speak to some of why. It adds to the days, correct?
Yes, we report the days and the hours.
This is great. Thank you. Thank you for the clear information. Nick is still on the fence of whether he'll come back for,
Yeah, two chess classes is there.
oh, I'll let him know, so. Yeah, I think he wants to, we're just working out the schedule, but he's gonna be your man, he'll be. We'll get him to you.
Friends. We'll sign off on all the mentoring.
Okay,
All right, great.
yep, so it's great. Anyone else, anyone online, visitors have any questions or comments? Michelle?
Hi, Michelle. 6525 North Main Line, Monday, Wisconsin, yeah. How did the K3 program go? Can you tell? Was it like
The K4?
well, no, the in
Or going into K4?
going into, yeah, how did that turn out?
We have 18 students.
18.
So one class.
Okay, no. We gotta.
Yeah.
And I did share all your information as well.
Okay, great. Yeah, no, we've been getting calls.
Good,
Stuff, so,
good.
okay.
All right, thank you for the question. All right, anything else? There is a motion pending to approve the summer academy contract template and the 24 hires identified by administration in the document attached to the agenda in administrative content. Motion by Danielle Bailey, second by Chris Robinson. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, thank you. Next item on the agenda is a proposal to move into closed session.
I would find this proposal to include a 5-minute break ahead of entering into closed session.
Well, we can just do that. Is anyone opposed to taking a 5-minute break?
No.
Hearing no opposition, we are in recess for 5 minutes and then we'll come back to address closed session.
Is it a
We are live.
All right, with apologies for the delay, we are back in session and we are at item 6C on the agenda, a proposal to move into closed session. Would anybody like to have a motion?
I move that we go into closed session to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility pursuant to Wisconsin statute 1985-1C, specifically to discuss digital equity, innovation, and library services for the contract.
Is there a second?
second?
All right, so this motion relates to the singular position that is filled, are we live? Okay, that is filled by Mr. O'Hagan. The public interest that would be served by moving into closed session is that doing so would allow us to have a candid discussion if needed among decision makers about performance matters. It protects our employees' privacy and reputation, avoids the risk of embarrassment, and thus aids in retaining qualified and professional staff. So we have these discussions. So That's the public interest. Any further discussion or comments or concerns? All right, the motion is by Karen Cromwell with second by Chris Robinson to move into closed session. I'll do a roll call vote. Daniel Bailey.
Aye.
Kitty Avalos.
Aye.
Chris Robinson.
Aye.
Karen Cromwell.
Hi,
And Carla Pennington Cross says aye. So we are now officially in closed session. We will adjourn to your office, or can we stay here?
stay here.
Stay here.
We can stay here, right? I'll close the store on a
Away we go.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We've reconvened into open session under Wisconsin statute 1985 1C. At this time, is there a motion anyone would like to make?
I move to change the title from Digital Equity Innovation and Library Services Coordinator to Digital Equity Innovation and Library Services Director.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just for public reference, the only thing that changes for this particular position is the name of the position. All other aspects of employment remain consistent with the prior role.
Yes.
The naming is also in alignment with naming conventions, sort of across people with similar positions in school districts.
And in our policies, which refer to a director position, so it's
Mhm.
consistent with our policies. All right, the motion is by Karen Cromwell, second by Chris Robinson to approve the changing of the name from coordinator to director for the Digital Equity Innovation and Library Service Director. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
You're on the roll call vote.
Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. All right, final item on our agenda, board preview and planning. A bunch of stuff coming up here.
Lots. I think one of the items in board preview and planning would be to discuss the spring fling donation.
Whose idea was it? Was it Chris or Karen?
It was me.
Mine.
To do a book basket.
I don't know that it was my idea to do a book basket, it was my idea to do a board basket,
Right. Someone had.
but books are great.
So we're all gonna make a. For some reason in my mind, I thought we had agreed to make a book donation each.
I think we had.
Well, we had talked about books, we had talked about gift cards with books.
Okay.
And I think one of the questions was people were wondering what kind of book. I picked a children's book, but that does, I don't think it has to be only a children's book if that's what you wanna provide.
Yeah. The other times I've done like a board book basket. Everyone just chose whatever book they want, and then you put a note card in there with a handwritten note about why you chose this particular book to share.
I think if you want people to bid on it, we've gotta add some goodies, some gift
Right.
cards, if you wanna raise some money for the.
We could do like a
Right.
Barnes and Noble.
Yeah,
So that's
paper source.
It's not like a self-serving thing, but so tell me why.
It's related to, it's, never mind, whatever, it's fine.
I don't know what paper source.
Paper source is a stationery and book and
They have-
it's related to Barnes and Noble, so.
Okay.
So. Do we have to figure this out right now in session, or can we continue?
Well, so more to the
on it?
point, we need to have, like, I'm happy to collect the items if you guys wanna
Okay.
make sure you bring them, but the spring fling is coming up on the 17th, so we
Right.
realistically need,
Oh, they won, yeah, they
Yeah.
did.
So you need us each to give you a book.
yes.
Should I get a Barnes and Noble gift card? Sure. I'll get a Barnes and Noble gift card and give that to you as well. And in terms of your question, sky's the limit, right? Pick a book, any book. That speaks to you that you think would be nice to go in a basket to whoever bids on it, right?
Unless you wanna do a theme like a Rainbow Resolutions book thing,
Mhm.
but you already bought one, may or may not fit in.
So I don't know that we have the time for that, cause they're
Okay.
gonna launch the,
Okay.
they launched the auction, I think, a little bit ahead of actual
I
Friday.
think they're working on getting bidding out.
Right.
So we like.
So their
to do
logo
this
stands
tomorrow.
alone.
And the one description.
Okay.
In the past, they've started the auctioning Or they've launched bidding out like the Monday before spring fling.
Which is next Monday.
Okay,
So
so
I
ideally, you would like our books by Friday.
That
How's
would be
sound?
great.
Okay, or at least the title.
Sure. I mean, I
don't
think,
know.
yes, I don't really. I'll clarify with them tomorrow in our meeting. but-
Is all
But it'd
the,
be nice to be able to take a picture of.
yeah, because that's what'll go on bidding
Yeah.
as a photo, right? So,
Okay.
Do you need a basket?
I have a basket.
Okay, alright.
Get the task.
all right.
And we need to notice the spring flood.
And then what else is going on, Anna?
We have PTO coming up this week Thursday, Foundation this week Thursday, YC happening. Parent University on 4/14 is going to be Play as a Tool for Learning. It should be really exciting. Kelly has awesome people lined up to and this Parent University is unique because students will stay with their families and learn how to play and use play as a tool for learning. So a lot of really fun things. It'll be a fun night for the whole family. So hoping people can come out for that.
Is that geared for both schools or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then the spring fling is on the 17th. And then the student code of conduct meeting is at 5:30 on the 21st.
And Chris, you're doing that,
I
right?
am.
Yeah.
Great.
Yep, and then we have the K4 parent and family conferences start on April 22nd, and then K4 through 8th grade on the 23rd, and then K5 through 8th grade on the 24th. So parent teacher conferences are coming up. So
Busy days.
yep,
I have another thing on my calendar.
yeah.
The Education Council on Innovation and Technology that James is running. Asked me to be a part of that.
Oh, okay.
That is on the 16th. From 5:30 to 7, I believe.
Is
Are
that
there
fair?
2 board members on that?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, and let's not forget the Board of Canvassers on the 13th.
Oh, yes.
Ah,
The
yes.
canvassers on the 13th at noon, and I let Chris know that if she for some reason could not make it, she could appoint somebody else, but you feel like you're ready to go, and so Kim Hess and Kayla and Chris are gonna count.
Oh my god.
You gotta actually count your vote, are you?
Add, you have to add, it's more
You
of
add,
adding,
add
you have
the
to add
words.
different like districts.
Yeah.
Yeah, the votes and things.
Yep,
Chris is reliable.
I know, so that will be taking place at noon. and
The
we'll
other
not-
two know what they're doing. That's what I'm hanging my head.
Yeah, alright, so we will be all set that day, so I'm excited to have that be official.
Could I think about maybe representing the board at parent family conferences in some capacity or advocacy or engagement? Like, we've done that in the past, right? Like just kind of having a, like, even if it's like a thank you and it's like a, well, I don't know, some, whatever, just. Would that be okay with everybody?
Yeah. I mean. Just like having a table and some information.
Or just like, yeah, some, I don't know, I'll think about it, but I'm just thinking like there's that is where they will be. It's good to go where they are.
I'm
Or-
gonna sound like a wet blanket, but my experience has been for every organizational effort I've made with different volunteer organizations and on the board to have tables at those places. Is like families are just busy with conferences.
For sure.
Yeah,
So maybe I
they
can.
just walk on past looking for the classroom.
Maybe I'll have swag. They know how do I attract.
Swag and a
Maybe I'll
basket
have
of cookies.
snacks. Maybe I'll watch their kid. I don't know. Let me think on it.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, and as another note too, sorry, the other thing that is coming up is our school perception surveys will be coming up very soon too. So we'll start some preliminary notices out to families and to staff we'll start prepping our students that those are coming, and then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, last week of April, first week of March is kind of around that time where people are going to be getting the QR codes to take the invites to take the survey from school perceptions.
Family and students or.
Family, students, staff.
Oh, okay.
So this would be an area where we can share out the Glendale-River Hills.
Yeah.
Site links and stuff as well, right? We could try. to get
No,
information
school
out.
perception sends all that information.
Oh,
We
that's
can
right,
do
it's
that,
just
yeah.
them.
It's just them, they are.
Well, we could do
they're-
reminders to families to pay attention and.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
but they'll get the distinctive code to log in, and once they've taken it, they can't
Okay.
retake it, right? So that will come formal. It is very formal and it'll come directly from school
Right.
perceptions, and those will be where we'll pull our measurements for a lot of our KPIs, so it'll be exciting to see what those
Yeah.
results are too.
The other thing I've been thinking about on a side note is that we got so many views for our videos.
How did anybody know this? I don't know how to find the counts on it.
If you're on your computer, it tells you, it doesn't on the phone.
Oh.
But it reminded me that these little short videos actually reach audience and we should probably keep doing it. We should find excuses to keep doing it. And it draws people to.
Just keep
our-
it short.
Yeah.
Short.
But it keeps it,
When do people click off, Diana, after how many? Less than a minute, right? Yeah, yeah.
they only saw my first minute.
Yes,
Yes, okay, yeah.
Interesting.
80% saw the first
But you
minute,
could do.
20% went a little bit longer,
Mhm.
usually about 3, no one sees anything after that.
Okay,
Yeah, that's very short.
but we should think about it.
Yeah.
We could do, for instance, like we were talking, we could,
We could karaoke.
no, but we could do a thank you video.
Absolutely.
Each of us could, or
Yep.
we could even get
I
together as a
could.
group and, so think about that.
We also take a new picture. I can't handle that picture anymore.
Yeah.
Look a giant.
All right.
You know, the
one
other
last
thing we don't
motion.
have is the job fair too.
Oh, yeah.
Job fair.
Well, they would.
No, they wouldn't go to it, but
Yeah.
it's something that's happening.
Yes, we're going to the job fair next week at Brown Deer for CISA 1. So we've got
Nice.
really cool flyers that Diana made to hand out to prospective candidates.
Oh, nice.
We already have a very strong pool of candidates, but
Oh,
we'll be also be at the job fair as well,
to that?
meeting people.
You too.
Or
Who goes to represent?
I will, Willie and Ryan will be going
Oh,
as
nice.
representative people, and then I will also probably pop in for a little bit as well. Yeah. So,
It looks like a lot of people are coming too, so.
Yeah.
Should be a good thing.
yeah, about 200 candidates.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Nice collaboration. Yeah.
One last motion?
Hold on. One of the things I've been wondering about is, am I imagining a conversation where we talked about trying to look at the level of technology exposure in the kindergartens and maybe starting to minimize that?
Maybe, Barb. I don't.
I'm wondering if it would be worth having having that feedback from teachers or just kind of getting a sense of it, because the pendulum is really swinging away from exposing our young minds so much.
Do you mean like big screens or?
As a school district as a whole, we've been talking about how we minimize that, not just at kindergarten.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and those have been ongoing conversations that principals are having with their guiding coalitions, and James that's part of the work that James is working on as well.
Yeah.
And so thinking about how does that work, also moving to, like, we didn't issue individual computers, to kids in grade 4 this year, like we have
Right.
done in the past, we kept them on carts. And we'll continue to keep them on carts. That was also true for our 5th grade group, so like we will likely probably maintain carts and like look at a slower release of technology to students, but that's like that's been a district-wide
Sure.
conversation that Jenica's been having with teachers and principals and James.
It would be good at some point, and it doesn't have to be necessarily before the end of the school year, but at some point to add into our calendar, just an update on how that's progressing and where the trajectory is anticipated to be, I think.
Maybe that could be a agenda item in August, like what the plan is for the following year, because by then you'd have a plan, right? For how tech is gonna be used.
Yeah, because it'll be update, like the way that would probably pan out is updates to the technology handbook, which will be part of the student handbook, which will come forward or updates.
So we could put that on an agenda for August or September, would be the right time,
Yep.
right, then?
Yep.
Front of mind.
Yeah. just
How we're
one of those things
using
that I
that,
keep
yeah.
thinking about and then losing
Okay.
track of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Always.
Do I hear?
Anything else?
Jesus, hopefully.
All right, would anybody like to adjourn this meeting?
Oh, no, we didn't. I moved to adjourn.
Second.
A motion by Danielle, second by Karen Cronwell, all in favor? Aye.
Yeah, but can you remind me, so you shared the survey ahead of time with us? I know you used to, but like, do you want everything back or you solicit?